Greetings, Guardians. This is Olympus Alliance. And today we continue our Talisman series, but more importantly, we continue building something that separates average players from those who truly understand the game, because this is not just about choosing a talisman, this is about understanding how a hero behaves in different situations, how small changes in stats can completely shift performance, and how flexibility becomes one of the most powerful tools you have in hero wars. Now, before we even dive into Elmir, there's something we need to address. Because this is not a hero that you see every day, this is not a hero dominating the current meta, and if we're being honest, this is a hero that has been waiting. Waiting for attention, waiting for a moment, waiting for the kind of update that brings him back into relevance. Elmir is one of those heroes that clearly needs some love from the developers, because the game has evolved, new mechanics have arrived, new heroes have taken over, and he has been left behind in that process. But here's the important part, Guardians. Just because a hero is waiting, doesn't mean he is useless. And more importantly, it doesn't mean you should ignore him. Because while Elmir waits for that moment, you can already prepare him, you can already optimize him, and you can already understand how to get the best out of what he currently offers, and that starts right here. With his talismans? Because talismans are the one system in the game that allows you to adapt, to experiment, and to extract value from heroes even when they are not at the top of the meta, and that is exactly what we are going to do today. So let's step into Elmir. An agility-based physical damage dealer, a hero that was once a core part of dodge-based teams, a hero that relied on positioning, clones and pressure from multiple angles, and a hero that, at his peak, could create chaos on the battlefield by spreading damage in ways that were difficult to control. But as the game evolved, that chaos became easier to manage, stronger heroes appeared, and Elmir slowly lost his place. So now the question becomes, can talismans bring something back to him? Let's take a look. We begin with the first option, the Talisman of Illusions. And immediately, this one makes sense. Agility as the main stat. Physical attack as the secondary stat. And this is exactly what you expect from a hero like Elmir, because everything in his kit scales with physical attack, everything he does relies on that stat to deal damage, to apply pressure, and to remain relevant in a fight. So when you equip this talisman, what you are doing is simple. You are amplifying his identity. You are increasing his damage output, you are improving his scaling, and you are making sure that when he enters a fight, he actually has the numbers to compete. This is the straightforward option. The clean option. The play him as a damage dealer option. And for many players, this is where they stop thinking. But that would be a mistake. Because then we move into the second option. The Talisman of Sandstorms. And this is where things become more interesting. Because now the focus shifts. Dodge becomes the main stat. Health becomes the secondary. And suddenly, we are no longer talking about pure damage, we are talking about survivability, about longevity, about keeping Elmir alive long enough to actually do something in a fight. And this matters more than people think. Because Elmir is not a tank, he is not naturally durable, and in the current meta, if a hero cannot survive long enough to act, it doesn't matter how much damage he can deal on paper. So this talisman introduces a different approach. Instead of maximizing output, you are stabilizing presence. You are giving him more chances to stay in the fight, more opportunities to reposition, more time to generate value through his kit. And the health stat adds another layer, because it interacts with his second skill, meaning that this is not just defensive padding, it actually contributes to how his abilities perform. So now you have two completely different directions. One pushes damage. The other supports survival. And this is where most players get it wrong. Because they pick one. And they never change it. But talismans are not meant to be permanent choices. They are meant to be tools. They are meant to adapt to the fight in front of you. And that is exactly why training becomes essential here. Because the difference between these two talismans is not something you fully understand by reading stats. It is something you feel in real fights, in different matchups, against different compositions, in situations where sometimes damage matters more. And sometimes survival is the difference between winning and losing. So if you are looking at Elmir and asking which talisman is better, the real answer is situational. But if you push us for a decision, if you force a choice based on current value, then yes, the Talisman of Illusions comes out on top. Because at the end of the day, Elmir needs impact. He needs damage to justify his place in a team. And without that, even with more survivability, he risks becoming irrelevant in the fight. So the Illusions talisman gives him what he needs most right now. Presence through damage. But that doesn't make Sandstorms useless. Far from it. Because in certain matchups, in certain scenarios, when you need him to stay alive just a little longer, when you need him to avoid key hits, when you need him to survive long enough to create disruption, that extra dodge and health can make the difference. And that is the mindset you need to have. Not fixed builds. Not one solution. But understanding. Adaptation. Control. Because Elmir may not be at the top right now. He may be waiting for that rework, for that boost, for that moment where he returns to relevance. But when that moment comes, the players who already understand him, the players who already built him correctly, the players who already tested his limits, will be the ones ready to take advantage immediately. So don't ignore him. Prepare him. Understand him. And use talismans the way they were designed to be used. As tools that shape the fight. So Guardians, now we want to hear from you. Have you tested both talismans on Elmir? Did you find situations where one clearly outperformed the other? Or are you also waiting for that moment where he finally gets the attention he deserves? Let us know in the comments. And tell us which hero you want us to cover next, because we are just getting started with nature, and there is still a lot to break down. We're going deeper. We're going smarter. And by the end of this series, you won't just equip talismans. You'll understand them. Stay tuned, stay sharp. And as always, salute and friendship.